Hi, I'm Blake.
And I'm Jamie.
And we're Blamey.
I guess so.
Today we're doing a mid-book review. So we're both part of the way through a book. I'm a little behind Jamie, I will admit. It took me a while to get here. But it was hard to catch up, to synchronize here.
It is hard to stay synchronized. Like, I'll finish something and then he'll just be halfway through and then we're never matched up.
Yeah, so we're at least both in the middle of a book here. And so we wanted to give quick reviews of where we're at. You want to go first?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I'm reading Siege and Storm, which is the second book in Leigh Bardugo's series Shadow and Bone, the trilogy. So technically, I guess I'm halfway through this book, but I'm also halfway through the whole series. So I will say overall, I'm feeling slightly let down on this one.
Yeah. Not your favorite? You really like Six of Crows, right?
I did like Six of Crows.
And you read, I have not read the sequel to Six of Crows, but you like that one as well?
Yep.
Are those both better so far than the series?
They really are.
Yeah. So this isn't just a mid-book review, it's a mid-series review.
I guess so. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
The thing is, I think if I hadn't read Six of Crows, I would be really lost with the magic system. I feel like the magic system is so much better explained in Six of Crows than it is here in Shadow and Bone.
Is that a bad thing? Because there's certain books that I actually really like where it doesn't explain everything.
Kind of, yeah, okay. I can, like, some books I do like that too, but this book I'm just like, wait, why is this a rule? And why is that a thing? And what? I'm still just, I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm kind of over it.
Would you like this book more had you not read Six of Crows? Like, if you knew they were disconnected, would you like it better?
Maybe. If I didn't have, like, that high of expectations too going in.
Yeah, expectations are killer.
The characters, I'm just not in love with any of the characters. That's not true. There's this, in the second book, in this one, Siege and Storm, there is this new character, Nikolai, I think is how you say his name. I'm really liking him.
He's not in the other one?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm really liking him. So he's kind of redeeming the series for me at this point. But
do you ever struggle reading, because this is effectively a prequel. It's not really, because it was his first books, but it's kind of a prequel. One of the problems I have is, take Nikolai, for example. I was like, well, okay, he's dead. He's a good character, and he doesn't last until the next series, and he's dead.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily dead.
Oh,
he just isn't going to be in Kaz's crew.
He's going to die.
No. I hope he doesn't. I didn't think about that. No, they're separated enough that he's just not part of Kaz's crew.
There's not a ton of separation, right? Year-wise. So it's not like this is like 30 years later.
See, and I thought it was until you looked that up for me.
Yeah, it's only 3 years later.
So the reason I had him looking this up is because I was like halfway through Shadow and Bone, and I'm like, I'm going to just try the series. I'm going to watch this episode one, see what it's like, just so I can, like, put faces and places. I don't know. Put a face on everything. Yeah, was not expecting the, like, merging of these two series. I was really thrown off by that.
Oh, so does the TV show have a lot more of
it's like half,
Six of Crows?
Yeah, it's like half Six of Crows, half Shadow and Bone.
Oh, interesting.
So no one ever told me this. So that threw me off. So I'm just kind of overall like, what's happening with this Grishaverse? Which in the movie they call it Grisha, not Grisha. So that's weird too. So Grishaverse?
So is Grishaverse... Why do they call it the Grishaverse? That's, I guess, I'm
just because of that magic system, like that world.
Oh, that's the world. The world is Grisha. I was thinking about this of why we call different things. Like Sanderson refers to the Cosmere as the Cosmere.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense why we call it the Cosmere. But I'm just thinking like with other places, why do I guess with Harry Potter, it's now you refer to kind of the Wizarding World is the stories that are within that. I guess I can see that. But other places, I'm just when you have multiple, I'm trying to think of other ones. There's like the Dragonlance series, the Forgotten Realms. There's Shannara. It's all Shannara. Like I'm trying to think of like why we refer to certain fantasy worlds as the certain names. I don't know. Just interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, with Grisha though, like that's the actual magic. Like the Grisha are the people who have powers in that world.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So yeah, I guess I'll have to do like an overall review of this one because I'm.
Maybe wait till you're done with the series and then you can give us an overview of how you like the series here.
And a good, full, clean comparison between that and Six of Crows. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool.
Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. All right, so I have Old Man's War. This is by John Scalzi. Old Man's War is excellent so far. To be fair, everything I've read by John Scalzi has been really good. This was his debut novel and what kind of made him famous, which I guess is kind of redundant because it was his debut novel and he's famous. I guess he could have a debut novel, didn't make him famous. But so the premise behind this is really interesting. Basically, you start with a very old man. He's like 70s, 80s, something like that. I think maybe 75, just after 75, something like that. and he's walking into an enlistment office for a military where he had enlisted 10 years ago with his wife. And what had happened is he and his wife had decided they were going to enlist in this military that sent them off-world to go fight, and somehow had anti-aging technology. And so you follow his plot as he eventually leaves Earth and goes through this anti-aging technology. And the interesting thing is it's not just him, it's a bunch of other senior citizens that are all leaving Earth to go fight this war, hence Old Man's War. Really, really fascinating so far. A lot of different things that you wouldn't expect that I guess would come with the ideas of being old and then being young again. I was telling Jamie earlier as I was reading this, it's kind of funny, right after they go through the de-aging process, all of a sudden you have people hooking up all over the place because they basically were transported back to very horny teenagers all at once.
Not teenagers.
Okay, 20. They're all supposed to have a body that is right around 20. So very, very close to that. But it just is kind of laughable of like, yeah, of course that's what would happen in that situation. Anyways, it's really interesting. Also, I like that it, when you look at sci-fi, and a lot of times you've had this idea of there's one alien race out there that they're fighting with. This is a lot more in a situation where there's lots of alien races, and some of them are nice, some of them are friendly, others, are a lot more not nice and hostile. Nice. And the interesting thing that I like, it's kind of a commentary, I think, on just human existence, but the closer the aliens are to human, the more we war with them. It's actually the ones that are least like us that we get along more safely with, which, there's an argument for resources, right? That we're fighting on the same resources, those type of things. But I think there's also just the argument of sometimes we dislike those that are closest to us.
Yeah. Well, there's like a competition thing too.
Oh, naturally. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes when we meet our exact personality, we dislike that person. Right? There's not room for two of us in one area, and I think as a species that's kind of what it would be like. It also is really interesting with the de-aging thing, and there's the questions of what that would mean morally, and also what it would mean religiously, which is interesting in the book. Of all of a sudden, well, wait a minute, if you could all of a sudden just keep going back to being 20 over and over again, how does that work? How does that affect things? And then also another thing that I love that brought about is they say, why don't do this to the entire population, right? Why isn't everybody just 20? And they point out in there that every war is fought with every resource possible, right? You never have anybody holding back resources because you want to be able to win. And so they said, like, the reason we're doing this is because this is the most that we can do. The minimal amount is to throw our youngest or youngest, right? Our youngest bodies, but most experienced minds at the problem.
Wow.
Which I thought was a very fascinating thing, right? And they said, as soon as there's enough resources to be able to do it for everybody, that'd be great. But there's not. Like in most wartime, right? A lot of the military and technical upgrades that you have for the military aren't just out with the general populace. And it takes years eventually for things to get there. It's because you fight wars with as much as you can. And I love that concept here in Old Man's War. So overall, I am not disappointed by Old Man's War. It's been excellent so far. Shouldn't be surprising with John Scalzi's books. I think one of the downsides is I think with John Scalzi books, they're normally narrated by Will Wheaton if I listen to them on Audible. And I'm reading this one, and so I would love Will Wheaton's voice.
Because the last one I listened to of his was not Will Wheaton.
Oh, was it not Will Wheaton?
It was a lady.
Was it Lock-In?
Yeah, no, Lock-In, Head On.
I think Lock-In is narrated by Will Wheaton, but maybe Head On is not. Anyways, excellent books. Highly recommend them. And so far, I would highly recommend Old Man's War. Really, really enjoying it.
Fun.
Wow.
I've noticed you do a lot more like summary reviews, and I do more like how I'm feeling.
Oh, sorry. I'm feeling elated. I don't know. I'm feeling interested. It's an interesting thing. I really enjoy books that I enjoy. That's a weird thing to say, but it's true. There's just something about being in a book that you're enjoying. Like being able to not just at the end be like, oh, that was a good book, but in it be like, this is a good book. Yeah. I like this book. I'm enjoying this experience. There's something about that that's fun. And I'm enjoying that right now, being inside of Old Man's War. It's not something that I can necessarily say about some of the other books I've read recently that I've had that same thing. I've enjoyed them at the end. Mm-hmm. Like it's all felt complete and whole.
Overall,
and overall, it's a good book. There's just something about, I think maybe Scalzi's writing in particular and a few other authors, where the journey is just as good as the finish. Mm-hmm. And that's not a common thing.
I agree with that for sure.
All right. Well, this is our mid-book review. Please check out our other videos and like and subscribe. It really helps our channel get 4 more people watching it if you like and subscribe it.
4 is a lot.
That's a lofty goal. It really is. I mean, that would be a 20% increase over what we get right now.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Tell your 4 friends. I have 4 friends, I think.
You're assuming that everyone has only 4 friends.
Yeah, maybe that's just me.
It's just you.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, like and subscribe.
See you later.
Bye.